So it's been about a week since you last saw us, but in reality, no, I got it.
There's a massive spider, honey. Holy moly, there's a pattern on the back. And she's eating.
No, she's just wrapping it up.
Oh, I see her web as well. Vali's been in and out of the shops for the last month. We finally got him back, so we're able to get back where we left off and continue the van build.
So we finally installed a new alarm system on Vali, and if you're wondering what the alarm sounds like, here it is.
It's very loud.
I knew this was a bad idea.
This dirty, messy floor where all of these mechanics have stepped all over. To be fair, we should have covered it, our fault. But you're probably wondering if this is the final floor. Today, we're finally gonna install our floor. Let's get to it.
So we already have 36 of these plywood screws in place for our subfloor, but we want to add on the extra 14 we have just to reinforce everything. We just want to make sure that when we're driving places that are a bit tough or are very bumpy, this subfloor does not budge at all.
We're just going to prep the floor by kind of sweeping it. I'm also going to use a cloth and kind of go over everything so that there's really no dust.
Looks good.
Looks like it's not enough. I don't know. Wow.
Look at this cheeky bugger.
Nice.
Can I also go on top?
Looks nice, doesn't it, hun?
What's this fancy, dude?
You can see the texture of the grooves. That's what really sold us on this one in particular, this vinyl floor. One thing we really wanted to do was get one big piece so that there's no seams and there's no risk of like water getting into our subfloor. It's so comfortable. We've decided to leave the floor in overnight so that it can adapt to the shape of the van, so that tomorrow we have an easier time actually gluing it down with the contact glue. Time to start gluing. We left these boxes on top to kind of set it properly. The glue is very iffy, but since we have 6 cans of this, we're just going to try and use it to finish gluing down the floor. And then we're going to be using like trim pieces, and basically none of the edges are going to be available. Is that a bird? It finally stopped raining, so we're just going to tackle the rest of this because this project has taken, as every other project we've done so far, way longer than we anticipated.
Morning, Nish.
Morning. We finally finished the floor last night. It's very sticky from all the glue that went in. But yeah, come check it out.
Wow.
It's kind of wet because of the product.
It's shiny, isn't it?
It turned out way better than I thought. We're going to buy some wood and some self-tapping screws. We're going to be framing the van out, and this is going to be a very important step to then attach every single piece of furniture on. Yesterday we actually bought all of the wood we're going to use to frame out the van. We went with 22 by 48 mil. And then we also got some smaller beams to box in the wheel wells. The smaller beams we got are 22 by 30, I think.
Before we can get to measuring, we actually need to remove these T30 screws right here. Let's do that right now.
So we've just been sitting here drinking our coffees and figuring out where every single beam has to go in order to like match up with our layout. We did a few drawings here. We also did a drawing of boxing in the wheel wells. We're gonna use these as our guide to figuring out where everything goes. Hopefully that'll help not make so many mistakes. We started by measuring out all of the pieces of wood we knew we needed for framing, and we did this by looking at the van and figuring out where we wanted to attach furniture to the walls, and basically we made sure that there was always wood behind that. Now that we're done cutting all the wood, we're finally gonna attach it to the wall.
We bought 50 pack of these self-tapping screws, and these are 45 millimeters. We have our wood right here, and it's 22 millimeters thick. There's not that much space left on the threading after it's gone through the wood. We're gonna countersink the wood ever so slightly so these fit in a lot better.
So I'm gonna mark where we're gonna drill based off of making sure there's no hole behind it. So it doesn't work out exactly even, the holes, but I think it'll be okay. And honestly, there isn't much we can do. There's a lot of pre-existing holes in the van already. Just have to work around them.
We somehow need to make this hole slightly bigger, because what's happening here, and what we didn't account for, the rim of this piece also needs to fit into the hole we're drilling.
I keep feeling so dumb, you know, like, I guess in a way it's very humbling, because you think you've done your math, you think you've like figured it out, and then you go in and guess what, both of us were dumb as fuck. Yeah. Okay.
Guys, we got it out!
The countersunk aspect turned out really good.
Amazing.
I think we're just gonna keep this as a deadly weapon in our bedroom. We have this tiny piece, which is what we're using to tighten our 12 mil screws. This is slightly bigger than the 12 mil, so it wouldn't go into our countersink hole and finish up tightening our screw. We made the exact same holes we did before, but now we're gonna use this Dremel to widen those holes until we can actually fit this piece in there.
That's perfect.
Oh my gosh. Gosh, it
yes.
worked. Okay, we just have to do all the other ones. That's solid. Clamp 1 is off. Okay. Clamp 2 is off.
Still there.
That's freaking solid. If you're framing your van and you want to countersink your screws, make sure that if you're using these hexagonal screws, that your bit fits into the hole.
Socket holder.
That your socket holder fits into the hole. Because otherwise, what happened to us is going to happen to you, and it's just unnecessary stuff. Lots of tears have been shed. Fights have ensued. Tried to film a time lapse. Couldn't get it done.
Twice.
Twice. Daylight savings suck.
That one's way easier.
Good fucking job. Okay.
Honestly,
Ready.
we're pushing this drill to new heights. Because this is the job for an impact drill, not for one of these.
Why do we have that one then?
Because an impact drill doesn't do what this does either. This is for like easier jobs.
Sounds like excuses to me.
3, 2, 1. I think I fucking did it.
Okay, awesome. We did it! These were the hardest ones. Good job.
catch that?
I don't know.
So we just cut this piece of wood to go.
Here. Did it work?
Yeah.
Before we get started on the wheel well boxes, we need to do some vertical strapping along the wheel well so that we have somewhere to drill the boxes into. Oh my god.
No screws needed.
Okay.
Just gotta get our bed back.
Okay, good. That looks nice though.
It's nice and secure and it's nice and tight.
Nice.
To the back.
Is it going anywhere?
No.
Okay, so that'll sit about there. So now we just need to mark so that we can trim these back down enough. Carpenter much? I mean...
Job well done.
I think I need some paper. I think that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Alright. Done.
Good job.
This is what we've got so far. We have these bases for the box. Now all we have to do is build something exactly like this that's going to go on the top, and then build the vertical beams that are going to actually turn this into a box. We got a big box of 150 screws. So we've already cut the wood and made some pocket holes to install the vertical beams, but we still need to fix this bottom part to the floor. So that's the scary bit because we're amateurs and we didn't really take note of where we put in screws. So we're gonna have to somehow find out where we put in screws so that we don't screw over them.
Okay, so we had to go for these very long screws because they need to go through this wood, the plywood, and the wood beams underneath, and hopefully not go through the van. Fingers crossed.
Let's hope not. Does that work?
Yeah.
I think that looks about level.
That looked
It didn't
nice.
come out the other side. It didn't come out the other side.
Nice.
Okay. This
Yay.
is like solid though. Like this isn't really gonna go anywhere.
Wow.
Our wheel well boxes are pretty much done. All that's left now is to join the top to the bottom on the sides to make it a little bit more sturdy. Now let's do the other side. So as you can see, we have a whole lot of insulation. Just so you don't think Rick goes out there doing all the work, I'm actually cutting out the templates.
Like most people who build out a van, we really worried about our insulation and we really wanted to make sure that our van was well insulated for winter. We ended up going with XPS insulation and it was a cheap option, not the best ecologically, but we really didn't have access to many options, and we adhered the XPS to the wall using contact glue.
This one goes right here.
Let's kaboom! What is that? Oh, protective gloves!
This way. Yeah, I think so, right? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
It's the next day. Yesterday we put in these panels and we spray foamed around it. It was our first time spray foaming, so it turned out very crappy, as you can tell. This is gonna go in our shower wall. We want to put a shelf in our shower so that we can store all of like our shampoo bottles, conditioners, all that stuff. We want to put it into the wall so that we maximize the space. We have some 20mm XPS insulation left over from when we did our floors. We're going to cut out a shelf into this, and then we're going to put the 20mm insulation into the hole so that we still have some insulation. When you use spray adhesive, you're meant to clean your walls up, make sure there's no dust or debris.
Alright, so this is the spray insulation we're using. This is the Sika Boom. It comes with this applicator. We just flip it around and we spray away. I'm not gonna do it right now or else we'd insulate the floor right now.
It also comes with gloves.
We didn't record every time we sprayed insulation on the van, but that 1% of the time that we were filming, we forgot to wear a mask. We wore the mask the other 99% of the time, and we definitely recommend you do because it's just not good to breathe in this stuff.
When we put in these battens, we thought that this angle that they're sitting in wouldn't affect us much, but after working with the wheel well boxes and realizing how tricky it is to work with angles, we kind of realized we shot ourselves in the foot by putting these in at an angle. It's very hard not to put things at an angle in a van. We feel like if we took this out and put it on this bottom part, it would maybe sit a bit straight, a bit more straight.
We've been saving this bag of scrap pieces from when we were cutting the big pieces. Now we're just stuffing them in these little crevices and we're gonna fill them up with the expensive foam. We just finished cutting up all this vertical strapping using our new power tool, my favorite tool so far, honestly. It's a table saw. It was super expensive, but the jigsaw just wasn't cutting it. So then we used the crack jig to pre-drill all these holes. And we already put in the screws wherever we could. we pre-drilled for metal screws instead.
Now I'm going to put in the screws for our shelf. This shelf is going to be in our bathroom. This is my favorite because you can kind of visualize what the space is going to be like, whereas for the rest of the van you really can't. It's just walls. But this is going to be a shelf. So we've just been stuffing this top part with all leftover XPS that we used on the walls. We've crammed it up with it, and we've also used some tape to tape over some holes to hopefully avoid all of the craziness we've been facing with the insulation just pulling out. There is a cable running all the way under here, but we're just gonna insulate over it, and in case something breaks, it no longer works, we'll just use a different cable and it'll just be stuck in the wall forever because it's just way too much work to undo all the connections. So we're just taking that approach to deal with it. Ideally, it would just be wired outside of the wall and we'd be able to put it over our vapor barrier.
We just finished putting in these stop beams. Because they're at such an awkward angle, we put in some silicone glue first, we waited for it overnight, and then we came in with the metal screws after doing the pre-drill. Same thing we always do. We cut out these pieces that go right here at a 50-degree angle. We crack jigged all of these screws in. We used our countersink bit for the first time because we're going to use smaller wood screws to attach it to the wood up here.
We've decided that we're actually going to frame the top part of the rest of our walls as well. We weren't going to because we are going to just have overhead cabinets going all the way to here and on the other side as well. But this way it's a bit more structural if we ever want to put in shelves or attach anything at the back. We have 3 things left to do before we can do our vapor barrier. We have to finish filling all of the crevices we've already started filling up with foam insulation. Then we need to handle these columns on both sides of the van.
Right now we're gonna use some spray adhesive and we're gonna attach these XPS pieces to the back of the column. We just finished taping up the cable to the side so it doesn't get in the way. Now we're gonna throw in some spray adhesive. And we're going to use some thinner XPS so it runs behind the cables.
We also need to insulate the top of our sliding door.
So we just got done taping the conduit to the ceiling, and now we're going to stuff it with leftover insulation and spray foam it up. Today is shaving day.
Shaving the spray foam insulation was one of the most time-consuming tasks we had to do, but it was also very satisfying because before we did this, the van looked like crap. It looked like even worse than when we picked it up. A work in progress at this point, but stick around, it gets much better.
There it is.
Then it was time for the vapor barrier, which was a welcome sight because it allowed us to cover up our terrible looking insulation job, and it also made the van look like a spaceship.
We just finished the vapor barrier and the taping of the van.
Next week we're gonna get started on electrical, so join us. Let's see how it goes. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel.
Bye!
Bye.